Welcome back. This is another CFB breakdown presented by Travanci, hosted by the 480. And today we're going to be talking about the Week 4 marquee matchups we are looking forward to on Saturday. No more ambiguous games going on. We're almost out of that non-conference play schedule, but some teams are getting a little bit of an introduction to their respective conference. We got 10 amazing games that we're going to be covering. I actually love these games. I would say last Saturday definitely didn't disappoint. That 4:30 slate before that ASU game was absolutely to die for. Had about 5 to 6 games going as a pregame before ASU. And I would say that the most exhilarating game did not disappoint, and I had all my money on it. Notre Dame and Texas A&M. I told you guys in video that this would be the most entertaining game. I am all in on Texas A&M's offense being the top dog of the country. Marcel Reed, Casey Concepcion, and Mario Craver, and that amazing running back room in Le'Veon Moss. Man, I cannot wait to see what Mike Elko can do with this A&M team, and I hope they win the weighty games towards the end of the season. That has always been their weakness. Now, we're going to put some love in these 10 teams, and specifically putting some more love on the Big 12 as well, because we have two really good Big 12 games that I'm looking forward to. That actually translated to a lot of volume into last season. So these matchups, very important. I cannot wait to see what's going on. We're going to break it down based off the ascending order of how these games are going to be starting on Saturday. So first one we're covering is going to be Texas Tech versus Utah. We got Bayern Morton going up against the Devin Dampier of Utah. So my whole thing is I really am excited to see what these teams can do going up against some competition. So my main thing that I was looking for in with this Texas Tech and Utah game was their adjustment with the offensive identity with Texas Tech. So, of course, they still have Caleb Douglas and Coy Eakin, some really good receivers for Bayern Morton. But their main addition on the offensive identity was Mac Leftwich, the offensive coordinator for Tech. This is due to, or was in response to the departure of Zach Kitley going to FAU, becoming the youngest FES coach. But I would like to say Mac Leftwich, as an ASU fan, I am familiar with his schemes. What we saw when I got to see him in his schemes was with the Texas State Bobcats last year. Mac Leftwich was known for having the explosiveness. I'm sure GJ Kinney was probably very resentful to lose that kind of talent, because it was even alluded to by the main head coach for Texas Tech that this was a prime hire for the Red Raiders. So Mac Leftwich has made himself adjustable with Bayern Morton. I can tell that they have guns ablazing right now. They are the Red Raider offense that they usually are known to be. Now it's just about putting it to test against a really hostile Utah crowd. So they're playing in Salt Lake City, and my whole thing is when are we going to see what Utah can actually be the best versions of themselves after rebounding from a terrible season last year? So pretty much last year was ridiculous for Utah. They just had a bad chain of events early in the season. Once you saw them beat Oklahoma State last season, you figured that they would be good and that Kyle Whittingham would keep them serviceable. But their whole thing was the quarterback instability going in between, the Wilson brother and Cam Rising. The whole thing was Kyle Whittingham wasn't able to establish his defensive run game identity, even with an amazing running back in Micah Bernard. But now Utah is making a huge difference with Devin Dampier, previously a quarterback at Montana State. And with his efforts within the running game, they are a lot more of a versatile offense. You can see a lot more option plays going on. So my whole thing is, you've done that against pretty bad teams. I mean, you beat up against a lesser opponent in the Mountain West Wyoming team, but really your best ability probably is the home atmosphere in this season. Utah will only go as far as how many home games they can win. I don't think that they're going to be able to be a team that travels well and can put a supreme tier of offense out against an away crowd or in an away atmosphere. My whole thing is this team plays to favorable momentum. So they try to dominate time of possession. They try to play good defense and mitigate explosives so that the momentum sways to their advantage. That has always been the Utah identity. ASU slowly starting to pick up after it. But my whole thing, I really want to see what these two Big 12 schools are bringing to the table this season. Texas Tech probably has a little bit more hype, but really, since this is so early in the season and the talking heads, the mainstream media is so obsessed with the flash and who's winning more dominantly right now, this is probably the biggest game of the Big 12 so far. And it could end up being one of the bigger games of the Big 12. It could break top 5. I still think it's too early in the season. I am expecting a Texas Tech blowout because they are going to try to get ahead early, try to get ahead and make sure Utah has to play from behind, and that is not a type of game plan that they succeed or dwell in. So my whole thing, I want to put the Red Raiders for this one, but this is very, very, I would say this is like a great matchup. Like this is very even. I do like it just because it is in Salt Lake City. Now, if this was in Lubbock, I would take Texas Tech in a heartbeat. But right now, Utah is getting the edge, on mainstream wise, and I get it. They have put more good football out there on tape over the course of, Kyle Whittingham's career. You're almost betting on him more often than not. But I really like what Tech can do, and I only think that they will pretty much just bow down to one Big 12 team, and that will be ASU. I think that they will be the runner-ups in our conference. So now going into the next game, we have the Iron Skillet Classic. This is the Battle of DFW. We have SMU going into TCU. Right now, this is going to be the 104th Iron Skillet. This is going to be an amazing game for two amazing quarterbacks in Kevin Jennings and Josh Hoover. More importantly, I really like to see what Brett Lashley can do on a rebounding season after a CFP contending season. He had a remarkable undefeated record after a very heartbreaking loss early in the season. So the whole thing was, and that was to BYU, the whole thing was that I wanted to mainly allude to was that this game happened last year. The Iron Skillet happened last year, and SMU came out on top against TCU. And it looked pretty dominant. It actually translated into a subpar season for TCU because you just felt like that demoralized their offensive identity, their defensive identity, their ability to play complementary football with that finesse offense and then having that complementary defense. You just didn't see it again. And that's why they were that 8-4 middleman Big 12 team last year. What I want to see this year is just some more aggressiveness with Sonny Dykes' team. Like, I want to see him go balls to the wall and see him actually chase that CFP contention that they were able to taste about 3 years ago when they won a playoff game and got to compete in the championship. So mainly what I'm expecting from this is a really good rebound from Brett Lashley's team. I think there's room for error for this SMU Mustangs team because this is not a conference game. Even if you do lose, you would be looking at, two non-conference losses with Baylor and TCU, some formidable Big 12 opponents. Then you're looking at a fairly competitive ACC schedule, but favorable. You're hosting the best team in the ACC in Miami. And yeah, you got to go into the Death Valley in the middle of the season, but Clemson has back against the wall. They can't lose another game or else they're out of contention. So I really like TCU coming out of this, but I won't be surprised if SNU comes guns a-blazing. Again, though, I won't be surprised if they lose as well because they have room for error. So I like the Horned Frogs in this matchup, specifically because they have some momentum coming off their first 3 weeks. I think Josh Hoover definitely will win the more experienced battle than a turnover-happy Kevin Jennings. But really, SMU came close. Like, they played a very frustrated Baylor team, and it was a remarkable shootout. I'm still trying to get to that replay, but I know it was a remarkable shootout. And it was just two really good Texas schools dogging it out. And I can't be upset about that. Like, you can't really, even Brett Lashley wasn't even upset about it. It was just like, this doesn't change the trajectory of our season. It was just an amazing college football game. So I can't wait to see this Iron Skillet. It's It's going to be really exciting, and it will tell me if the Horned Frogs are going to be another middleman in the Big 12. Now we got game 3. We got Auburn Tigers, first time going into Norman, Oklahoma. This is a homecoming game for Oklahoma, and we have a revenge game. Don't know if he would allude to it as revenge. It sounded like it was more of like a mutual agreement, but we got Jackson Arnold coming back into Norman, Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold, previously the quarterback for the Oklahoma Sooners last year, had some memorable moments and some forgettable moments. And so he has pretty much filled into himself at Auburn, playing the same way he played last year. It's translated identically, just with a lot more talent around him. Auburn is looking a lot more explosive with a All-American running back in Jeremiah Cobb that I am fully bought into right now. I think Jeremiah Cobb could be a top first 1 to 3 round type of runner in the NFL. He looks like a Sunday back. I'm really excited to see what Jeremiah can do in this game because Oklahoma is so defensive oriented, but they are now multifaceted. This Oklahoma Sooners team came and with an addition, a very special addition in John Mateer and his offensive coordinator, previously tenured at Washington State together. Now both of them come to Norman, Oklahoma to play in this heat. And so my thing is, will Brent Venables and this confident offense bring to the table what they've been playing or what they've been showing the last few weeks? They came off a really good win against Michigan, really mitigated Michigan's offensive identity, and this is going to be a back-to-back home game for them. Now, my thing is Auburn is kind of a catch-22. They are really good with the option. They are really good with the option run. Jackson Arnold is very, very aggressive in the run game. I love their running team. Now, are they able to be complementary and multifaceted the way Oklahoma seems to be? That is the question. Okay, I could be missing a staple that Oklahoma hasn't really put off a confident running game yet. So maybe Auburn's game plan will be to force John Mateer to beat them. But my whole thing is Oklahoma will do the same thing with Jackson Arnold's passing ability. They most likely will be stacking the box in this entire thing, and it is on Oklahoma's ability to stick to their keys and man on these guys and really lock down this run game. So I'm really excited to see what is expected with that one. More importantly, I'm excited to see what Jackson Arnold can do back in Norman. I don't know if this will be a revenge game for him, but we'll see, right? This is pretty much early season. Everything goes. This is the first SEC game for them. Everything goes. First time in Norman, Oklahoma, everything goes, right? So really excited to see what happens with that one. Now we have a really good classic. I like this one, and Jake Retzlaff going into Ole Miss with a banged up Austin Simmons. The Rebels have played a little bit shaky, but have been fulfilling of themselves in the outcomes of the fourth quarter. They have won their tight games, right? They beat Arkansas. They beat Kentucky. They have done what Ole Miss needs to do. Lane Kiffin shouldn't be any less excited than what he's gotten into this season right now. Just knowing that, hey, like I'm coming off Jackson Dart, amazing season, snubbed from the CFP. Now let's translate into this momentum into this season. So Ole Miss really needs this one. Now, if Austin Simmons is banged up, Tulane could look in and make this a trap game. They looked very confident against Duke Blue Devils, and they spoiled Darian Mensah's revenge game. So I'm really excited to see what the Green Wave can do. But again, this is a G5 opponent going into a SEC atmosphere. So we're not going to have high expectations of that. That's kind of like, this is a scary one. This is one of those that you just stay away from if you're just trying to predict it, because there's so much on the table right now. What if Jake Retzlaff actually is the face of the G5 this year and Tulane is a formidable contender in the CFP? We just don't know yet. So we move on to the next game. This is a Big Ten Classic. We have the Wolverines going into Lincoln, Nebraska, facing off Dylan Raiola and a talented, very talented Dane Key and running offense. I love this offense with Nebraska. Matt Rule has definitely shaped up his program into a dynasty format. Now it's just about winning the weighty games. Michigan is coming off a pretty embarrassing offensive performance with Bryce Underwood looking a shell of himself. I would probably put more real estate on the offensive coordinator. I just don't think they're calling the right offense for that type of skill set for him. Now, this is just another shaky game for the Wolverines. I don't know if they're going to be able to come out and show up. This is a hostile environment, usually with Lincoln. This is Dylan Raiola's stomping grounds where he does perform better in this home atmosphere. I'm really excited to see this one, but more importantly, I'd be more excited if Nebraska beat the living crap out of Michigan, because I would be very happy if Michigan is going into another middleman season in the Big Ten. But with the powers of Wink Martindale, Michigan Wolverines has the really good defense that could shut down a Dylan Raiola, make him and get him out of his rhythm. I fully believe Dylan Raiola is still a rhythm quarterback, relies heavily on the offensive momentum and the complementary football that needs to be played. My whole thing is, if Michigan keeps this one close, I'd probably say if they bend and don't break, they could win this game, and they need to. If they want to contend in the CFP this year, this is a must win, especially coming off of Oklahoma loss. If they do lose this, they are looking at maybe one more loss away from not facing or touching that contention belt. So I like Nebraska in this one. I think they need this one as well. I don't know. I don't know. I made a few tweets about it earlier in the season, but I don't know. I think Nebraska still is a middleman team in the Big Ten, just because of the dominance within Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State. And Oregon might be doing something this year. We don't know. They might be a regular season champion. But give me Nebraska and Dylan Raiola, because I just don't like Michigan. If I wasn't an Ohio State fan, I probably would pick Michigan for the drop game. Not gonna lie. Okay, next things next. We got the UNC UCF. This is going to be a Gio Lopez, Bill Belichick calling Central, UCF just Central, but in this press conference. But I am really excited to see what Scott Frost can do. More importantly, though, more excited to see what his decision will be starting lineup wise. Now, two of them, we have two quarterbacks right now in the conversation. We got Taven Jackson and Cam Frencher. Don't know why you would go with Cam Frencher if Taven Jackson put out a good performance. I think you stick with the hot hand. Even if you were more confident in Cam Frencher, you just let him heal up a bit. This is a game where UCF they're going to handle their business in Orlando. UNC is not going to be forgiven for trying to bring in an NFL Hall of Fame coach and run the whole rookie dynasty mode, right? Like, he's trying to run dynasty on rookie mode. It's not working. He was put to a harsh reality with Bill Belichick and his sons as the coordinators. TCU absolutely worked this Tar Heel team and made them look JV. Now, I could see UCF doing the same thing, or I could see UNC really bringing themselves into their identity. Their identity right now is winning the meticulous offense and then playing really good red zone defense. So what they have to do is keep UCF from making those explosive plays. I think if you're Scott Frost, you would want to go with Taven Jackson to make those explosive plays to get out of this game. But more importantly, this is like a vision into how their prospective seasons will go. I think whoever loses this game, that will translate into a lesser performing season for them. If UNC loses this, they're looking at 7-5, 8-4. If UCF loses this, they're looking at 7-5, 8-4. So this is a must win for these two teams. They're smaller programs with a lot to prove right now. They had their new head coaching additions, and really the buy-in is put to test on Saturday for these teams. Now, West Virginia going and playing Kansas in the new stadium. West Virginia is coming off a thriller comeback in their backyard brawl, but Kansas and Jalen Daniels have something to prove after frustratingly losing to Missouri. And man, I feel very bad for this Kansas team, because they are just always short. Like, they are just so close but always come short. And I think this is a must win for them. And the beauty in it was just a 180 flip from last season, because Kansas didn't win their one-score games. They had a terrible season because they lost a lot of heartbreakers. And last year, this was a heartbreaker. They played West Virginia early in the season. There was a weather delay. West Virginia had the momentum and the identity to break through that situation and come out as victors. West Virginia ended up having a mediocre season, but that was a very important game for them. Now, that was also a very important loss for Kansas. That one hurt. If Kansas loses this game at home, that's going to hurt, and they're going to be a middleman in the Big 12. If they win this, you escape a potential trap game. I think West Virginia is the trap team of the Big 12. They can beat anyone and anybody, but you can also dominate this team as well. So, again, Parker Navarro in Ohio is sitting rent-free in Rich Rodriguez's head. Nicky Marquee is finally going into his Big 12 play. We'll see what he can do, but I probably like Kansas in this one. We're going on to the next one, and this is a Billy Napier classic revenge game going up against Miami and Carson Beck. I think you got to put the proof to paper. This is the game that tells us legit or not legit for Miami. Is Carson Beck going to be able to play against an SEC defense, which he has experience already doing? My whole thing is DJ Lagway had 5 interceptions, had a very unstable offseason, and this is probably just some growing pains that he's going through. I still think Florida's a good team. I think Billy Napier has the right cap on. He's got the right mindset to keep his team locked in, present meaning, present living. My whole thing is Miami legit or not? Like, I think this is more about putting the real estate on if Mario Cristobal actually has a team in the ACC. Because if they do, it's looking like Mario Cristobal in Miami is going up against Mike Norvell in Florida State, and that will be the testament of the ACC, unless Haynes King in Georgia Tech comes out of nowhere. But that is pretty much it. Or Brett Lashley in SMU, but I don't think that'll happen. My whole thing is Miami probably has a lot more momentum going into this. They're in South Beach right now. They're going to be home after dominating their South Florida Jit Central, beating USF, getting them out of the rankings, which they never should have been ranked. They won a good game, but it was against a really unstable SEC school. It's like them beating Mississippi State. But Florida has the potential to get out of that tier of being like a Mississippi State and dorm out of the SEC. And they could be a middle tier, trap game worthy, or an upper echelon SEC school if they get the kinks together. I still think they're a really good team, but brewing this tough schedule, Billy Napier is in on the hot seat. But I feel bad. I think he's actually like a good coach for Florida. But just outcomes aren't adding up, and once out, and this is just a result-based league right now. So poor him, but DJ Lagway, I could see him bouncing back and sneaking this one through. So now we're going into a Big Ten Classic as well. We're talking Illinois going into Indiana. This one right now, this one's really fun because Fernando Mendoza actually had a good season for California last year. Like, he was actually a good quarterback. He lost some one-score games, but they were like few like possessions away from being top tier ACC. And right now he has the makeup of being the most confident Sunday NFL looking player, right? He's got the big body. He's reading his offenses. He's playing complementary football. He's dual threat. Now the whole thing is this one is more on Luke Altmaier proving himself to be the actual formidable quarterback that he wants to become. Illinois, if they lose this game, they're just another middleman at the Big Ten again. But if they win this game, they have the chance to play the Cinderella story that Indiana played last year. So Illinois is coming off some really good performances. I think they're a good team now that they kicked Duke's butt. I think they're legit. Now, my whole thing is, are they upper echelon Big Ten, right? That's what you should be thinking about when you're a Big Ten school is, are you upper echelon? Because if you're a middleman Big Ten, really, it's so top heavy in that conference. I'm sorry, you're irrelevant. You know, like, that's why Dylan Raiola in Nebraska became irrelevant last year, because they were middlemaning the Big Ten, and no one was caring about them playing a one-possession game to Iowa anymore. It lost its fun. It's lost its flash. You got to be upper echelon Big Ten to have that flash. That's why there's so much unnecessary attention to Penn State, because they do have that flash, but they just don't match it on the weighty game. So they're like the easy target to make fun of. But this is a classic game, Illini versus the Hoosiers. I like Indiana in this one because this is a Kurt Signetti classic home game. He has to win this home game, win the buy-in of the fan base, have the team and the city bought in to the vision for this year, thinking that they're not going to go undefeated until they beat or lose to Ohio State. And that'd probably be what would happen if they win this game. But I like Indiana in this one. This is going to be a good Big Ten classic. I'd probably put more real estate on this one over the Nebraska-Michigan game because these are just two established identities that really need to battle each other out to see where they are competition echelon-wise within their conference. Now, this is another Big Ten game in the final game of the Marquee Matchups Week 4. We got the Battle of Troy. We got the Sparty going in to Inglewood, playing at USC. This is going to be a late game for these Michigan State Sparty fans. I feel bad. This is tough. You're going to be up at 11 o'clock at night, staying up till 2 a.m. My whole thing is Jordan Mailata, I'm not bought into him. I'm bought into their running game. Eli Sanders is off of, he's a Big 12 runner. He played Big 12 football for 3-4 years, then went to New Mexico for 1 year, who he just ran the bell cow in New Mexico. This guy's a good running back, and then they have a second really good junior running back who they're they got a good bell cow case right now, like a dual bell cow case. They feed off of each other, and it's making Jordan Mailata's life a lot easier. Now, prospect-wise, Sunday NFL player-wise, I still need to watch more of him, but I'm probably putting a little bit more real estate on the quarterback competition for Aiden Childs. Aiden Childs needs a little bit of competition to prove to not only himself, but to his Sparty city and fan base that he probably is worth the high school recruiting rating that he deserved or attained, right? He deserved it, I guess. But, yeah, I like this game a lot. It's a late-night classic, and it'd probably just be a USC game, but hate to say it, but this is a late night classic where I can see the Spartans pulling this one out. They are severe underdogs by 3 possession, and I can see them making this a 1 possession game, and this could probably be a late night classic. This seems like one of those games where you have to stay up late for, and the few college football fans that are able to work up and avoid the Z's and actually watch this game, they aren't going to regret this memory. So this is probably going to be the most entertaining game. This game, like, this is my hot take. Yeah, Sparty Trojans is going to be the most entertaining game next to Florida Miami. I actually want to watch that game. I think Carson Beck and Miami might lose. There's no way Billy Napier takes another loss. So that's it for Weeks 4 Marquee Matchups, presented by Travanci, hosted by the 480. Really enjoyed documenting and covering last week. Looking forward to what's going to happen this week. But again, keep watching our CFB content and stay in tune. We have more football to cover this week. Thanks for checking us out.